This is Marketing Over Coffee with Christopher Penn and John Wall.
Good morning. Welcome to Marketing Over Coffee. I'm John Wall. Today, we have Chloe Wicks of Spotify is with us. She's going to talk to us about everything that's going on there. Chloe, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Okay, this is just the thrill because, on the show we've talked, I'm a huge music fan. Spotify has completely changed the game for the whole world. But talk to us about your path. How did you end up at Spotify? What in your career got you to end up there?
Yeah, it's as with everybody, the career journey is always a little bit of a winding road with some unexpected turns. But I started off sort of in the world of consultancy, communications, and as with many folks in the marketing world, at a large ad agency. So I started off in New York at Digitas, working across a variety of different brands, all the verticals from CPG to retail to pharmaceuticals and beyond. And my job way back when was really to work with those brands to sort of talk them through their digital strategies. And I know that is dating myself, but that is sort of what was my area of focus was, let's think about social media. Let's think about digital. How can that sort of play a bigger role in the way that you connect with consumers, which was a very, very cool role to have within the agency. Very multifaceted, worked with everybody from accounts to media to strategy and analytics and beyond. And that sort of led me to Snapchat. So when Snapchat was first getting started back in 2014, 2015, not started as a company, but started as a business at that time, they were really interested, of course, in tapping folks who knew what made advertisers and marketers tick. And a lot of folks from agencies like myself really fit that bill. So I moved out to LA, which is something that I never thought I would do as an East Coaster for life, landed there and sort of helped build out their advertising business alongside a lot of really brilliant folks on the product, the engineering, the design, and of course, the advertising side. Was there for 7 years. And then sort of decided to do it all over again in a way and in a different form, of course, with Spotify. And so it's been about 3 years since I joined Spotify, and it's been an incredible journey.
All right. We've had Lori Magno on the show, has been a friend of the show for many years over at Digitas. I did not know you were over there. My research was not deep enough. We should have dug deeper in the background.
Everybody has some agency background buried very, very deep in their marketing history.
Yeah, but that's like Boston, hardcore right there. That's got all the big name brands. Backing up where you're at Snapchat, like what are you doing there that makes Spotify come to you? Or did they come to you? Did you go looking for them? How did that happen?
As with anything, a little bit of both, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. At Snap, one of the bigger transitions that we made at the time, which a lot of other platforms had made, was thinking a little bit about the early days of let's figure out the boxes on screens that are most appealing to advertisers. Where can we get some big sponsorship moments? How can we lean in? And at Snap in that time, as you and many listeners may remember, the entertainment industry was all in on Snap. Full screen vertical video was something that was so new, so revolutionary to the industry at the time. But of course, as any platform matures, the need is to think about going beyond just a singular vertical and certainly going beyond just tier one brands. It's very important for the health of sort of the relevance, the algorithm, how the users experience ads on the platform, all of those things. And so one of the things that I helped lead was the transition from those big sponsorship days at Snap into a more sustainable sort of long-term automated business. And that takes time. Everywhere that's happened in the industry, that has taken time. No move from A to B ever happens overnight. And I helped do that at Snap. Took about the better part of that 7 years to get us there. And so when it came to Spotify, and one of the things that I'm excited about to talk to you about today, that's very much something that we're focused on here as well. Is Spotify for a long time, it has been known in the advertising world as very much a branding platform, very much something that can absolutely nail culture in moments, which is something we're very proud of, by the way. It's not anything we want to move away from. But in order for us to deepen relationships with marketers, it's extremely important that we show up as more than just a branding play. And so naturally, it's a small industry. I had some folks that I worked with at Snap who had been sort of moving over to Spotify. I knew that journey was really kickstarting and getting a little bit of a lot of investment on the Spotify side. And I was excited to come over, learn a little bit about the dichotomy of the audio, the video, the streaming landscape, which is not something that I got to learn and absorb at Snap, but then also bring some of my wisdom on automation, walled gardens, auction, programmatic over into the world of Spotify. So that's really what sort of pulled me in that direction.
Okay, yeah. And I was thrilled to get you in because I have not done stuff as far as advertising with Spotify in quite a while. And it was just like you said, it was like you're showing up to drop $1 million to do something huge. And there's at that point, like nothing self-serve. And so what's the landscape like now? Tell us, who are the major players and what kind of, levels of self-serve versus branding have you got? What's the whole landscape look like?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics to touch on. So for us, we've spent the last 3 years, but really the last 5 to 7 years, if we're being realistic, thinking about sort of the holistic nature of our ad tech. And if for those on this podcast who like to nerd out like me, that really starts with the underlying tech that sort of powers the way that our tools come together. So first and foremost, we've been thinking a lot about building out our own first-party tech, thinking a lot about our own ad server and the way that then powers essentially the entry points that marketers use to access Spotify inventory. So for us, there are sort of 2 front doors, and it's something that we're proud of. It's something that we are really, really passionate about, is providing advertisers of all sizes all around the world with a lot of choice when it comes to the way that they buy with us. Because as you know very well, even within a given agency or within the walls of a given brand, they might have very different preferences about where they want to put their hands on a keyboard, how they want to optimize or get a lot of predictability. And we're trying our best to provide a simple offering, but one that still provides a lot of choice. And so to put it very simply, those 2 entry points are, one, our walled garden, our ads manager, Spotify Ads Manager. That's been on the up and up, as you may have caught in the press and a couple of our events this year over the last 6 to 8 months. What we're really focused there is on giving advertisers access to the full depth and breadth of the Spotify ecosystem. Our first-party data, our optimization models that key off of user behavior within the app, and then, of course, the sort of interesting data about music podcast consumption that happens across the platform. That's really the place where you're going to get that full stack. On the other side of the coin, we've also gone very deep with the leading DSPs in the space and actually launched almost a year ago at this point our very own ad exchange, the Spotify Ad Exchange. So that's really started off with amazing partners like The Trade Desk, like DV360. Most recently, just about a week ago, announced our partnership and direct integration with Yahoo, Magnite, and just a lot going on there in terms of making sure that that same high quality Spotify inventory is accessible from within these DSPs so that advertisers, marketers, agencies can feel like they have that choice to either go deep with our tool or use a tool that they're very familiar with already to test and learn and deploy some of their strategies.
Right. Okay. And so then how about as far as the mixes, audio, video, banner, what's that look like?
It's a great question. So I think within automation for us, what we're trying to do is first and foremost, make it simple and performant. And so what that means is taking a very, very long list, very big menu of offerings that maybe you saw the last time you worked with us in an advertising capacity, and many folks who are listening might know well, and really streamlining it into sort of 3 simple buckets. In-stream audio, the idea of sort of a break within content when a user is backgrounding and listening. They might be walking around their house, they might be commuting, they might be exercising, sort of capturing users in that moment in the background. The second, of course, is in-stream video. And we've been so excited, and I'm sure you've heard quite a bit about our investments in the world of video, the amount of streaming and sort of ruminating back and forth between listening and watching that has been happening on Spotify for some time now. And so we offer that sort of premium in-stream video ad that you would expect in terms of a break also between content, the difference being when the user is in view, actively engaged and watching the screen. And then, of course, display ads throughout the app. So that's an area that, once again, as an ad tech nerd, I've been very excited about because the legacy offering of display within Spotify has been very blunt force. It's this concept of sort of popping up a message and getting it right in front of the user's face. And of course, in the early days of deploying an ad unit like that, you might get some great results, some spikes in click rates, some spikes in engagement. But over time, that level of interruption actually becomes very disruptive to the user, which is not good for the brand because they then are trained essentially to ignore those experiences. And so a few months ago, we started investing in much more native, much more endemic display units throughout our app. We most recently launched our in-feed display within our browse page. We have many more